how the mind can create symptoms of non-existent illnesses. Have you ever felt a pain so real it made you think you were sick, but every medical test came back normal? Be careful. Your body might be screaming what your mind is creating. Stay until the end, because today you will understand how the mind can fabricate physical symptoms that don't actually exist. We've all felt something strange in our bodies at some point. A tightness in the chest, a sudden dizziness, a pain that comes and goes. The immediate instinct is to think, there's something wrong with me. And in many cases, this concern leads to tests, appointments, and even diagnoses. But nothing is found. No abnormality, no clear cause. What few people know is that this phenomenon has a name: somatization. Somatization occurs when the mind, under emotional pressure, stress, or unresolved trauma, begins to manifest physical symptoms. The body, unable to express in words what the soul is feeling, starts to communicate in other ways. And the signals are real. The pain is real. The sensations are authentic. But the origin is emotional, not physical. It is as if the body steps in to give form to a suffering that the mind could no longer contain. Even the Bible hinted at this long before the language of modern science existed. In Proverbs it says, "A cheerful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones." This ancient phrase already points to the deep link between emotional states and physical health. It's no coincidence that people with chronic depression lose energy, immune function, and in severe cases, develop serious illnesses, even without a detectable medical cause. Now pause for a second and think, how many times have you felt something and assumed you were sick, when in reality, your mind was simply overwhelmed? How often have you diagnosed yourself based on fear, not facts? The mind can be a tool for healing or for destruction, and the choice is yours. Fear is one of the most powerful triggers of somatization. An anxious person, for example, might experience a racing heart, sweaty palms, tremors, lightheadedness, shortness of breath, all real symptoms, but they were produced by an internal alarm system that was triggered by thoughts, not by actual danger. The brain can't distinguish between what's imagined and what's real. If you intensely believe that something bad is about to happen, your body reacts as if it already is. This is the power and dangers of the human mind. The brain releases chemicals like adrenaline and cortisol, increasing heart rate, tensing muscles, altering digestion, and even changing pain perception. This explains why so many people develop chronic pain, nausea, heart palpitations, tingling, and even visual disturbances, despite normal test results. A strong biblical example of this is King Saul. He went through such deep emotional imbalance that his body and mind collapsed. In 1 Samuel, we read that he was tormented by an evil spirit, which today might be interpreted as a state of depression, paranoia, or anxiety crisis. The only relief came through David's music, an emotional and spiritual intervention, not a physical one. This shows that the relief didn't come from a medicine, but from something that reached the soul. This type of suffering is more common than it seems. Millions of psychosomatic disorders and anxiety-related conditions are diagnosed every year. But what many people ignore is that the path to healing often begins by understanding that not all physical pain has a physical origin. Sometimes the pain in your body is your soul asking for help. A classic example is panic disorder. The person feels like they're dying, racing heart, shortness of breath, mental confusion. They go to the hospital, do all the tests, and the doctors say you're fine. But inside they know they're not. The pain is invisible to the machines, but devastating to the one experiencing it. It's the mind creating symptoms and the body obeying. Now here's the question that could change everything. If the mind is capable of creating symptoms for diseases you don't have, could it also be trained to create healing for the ones you do have? The answer is yes. The same brain that activates a false alarm can, with training, discipline, and awareness, activate the path to healing. Breathing techniques, meditation, prayer, therapy, and thought transformation are powerful tools to retrain the nervous system. Neuroplasticity proves that the brain is malleable and can be reprogrammed. Healthy thoughts create healthy sensations. Balanced emotions create balanced bodies. But let's be clear, this is not about blaming people for how they feel. No one chooses to suffer. No one wants pain. What we're saying here is that by understanding how the mind influences the body, a person stops being a victim and starts becoming the protagonist of their own health. It is about stepping out of the passive patient role and stepping into a place of personal power. Jesus, when healing, often said, "Your faith has made you well." It wasn't just a supernatural miracle. It was an internal awakening. He activated within the person a new state of being, a new identity. Healing began with belief. Transformation came from the inside out. So now I invite you to reflect deeply. What have you been feeding inside your mind? Because what you consistently think, your body hears and responds. If you know someone who's always getting sick but never finds a clear diagnosis, share this message with them. Maybe what they need isn't another test, but a new perspective on themselves. And if that someone is you, start today. Your mind can be your prison or your medicine. The decision is quite literally in your head. The relationship between mental stress and physical illness. Have you ever stopped to think that the stress living in your mind might be silently destroying your body? It may sound unbelievable, but what you're about to discover could completely change the way you take care of your health. Stay with me until the end, because understanding this connection might be the most important step toward your healing, and it could even save your life. We live in a society where stress has almost become an epidemic. Work demands, family issues, financial struggles, chaotic traffic, and uncertainty about the future all pile up, turning into an invisible weight we carry every day. That weight, which many people ignore, isn't just psychological. It manifests in the body in deep and often silent ways, causing illnesses that can even be fatal. The human body works like a complex machine, where mind and body are inseparable. When you experience mental stress, the brain sends signals for the body to prepare for a threat, even if the threat is only imagined. This alarm system is called the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal (HPA) axis. It releases chemicals like cortisol and adrenaline, which increase heart rate, raise blood pressure, and prepare the muscles for action. This is essential in emergencies like escaping from danger. The problem is that today, this state of alert has become the norm, not the exception. When stress is constant, the body can't turn off this high alert mode. The result is progressive and silent wear and tear. Excess cortisol starts to weaken the immune system, leaving the body vulnerable to infections and inflammation. Chronic high blood pressure can damage the heart and kidneys. Digestion becomes impaired, leading to gastritis and acid reflux. Sleep, vital for the body's recovery, disappears. All of this shows that mental stress isn't just a problem of the mind. It affects the entire body. Now stop and reflect deeply. Are your daily thoughts and emotions healing your body, or are they, without you realizing, making you sick? Constant mental stress is like a slow-acting poison, eroding your health and vital energy. And the worst part is, we often only notice it when the illness is already well established. Even in ancient times, without the medical knowledge we have today, people noticed this connection. In Proverbs 17:22, it is written, "A cheerful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones." That phrase is more than poetic. Today we know that negative emotions and chronic stress can truly affect the body, even the bone marrow, which produces immune cells. This explains why stressed and depressed individuals often fall ill more easily. Stress doesn't have to come from major traumatic events to cause harm. It can be the daily accumulation of small worries and anxieties. A demanding boss, a draining relationship, financial struggles, internal pressure, and fear of the future all create a toxic environment for the body. The body doesn't distinguish between a major crisis and ongoing moderate stress. It reacts the same way by activating the defense system and causing silent damage over time. A biblical example that illustrates this reality is the story of Martha, the sister of Mary. While Mary sat at Jesus' feet to hear his teaching, Martha was anxious and busy with many tasks. Jesus then gently corrected her, saying, "Martha, Martha, you are worried and upset about many things, but only one thing is needed." This passage reveals something profound. Mental restlessness and excessive worry pull us away from what truly matters, and this makes us sick. As we now know, excessive concern can be a real cause of illness. Modern medicine, especially psychosomatic medicine, recognizes that mental stress is one of the main causes of autoimmune diseases. In these cases, the body begins to attack itself, mistaking healthy cells for threats. Constant stress acts as a trigger, keeping the body in a state of internal war, which results in inflammation and tissue destruction. This shows just how deeply connected our thoughts, emotions, and physical health truly are. Now I want to challenge you with an important reflection. Is your illness really only physical? Or did it begin as emotional overload, an accumulation of internal pain, unresolved trauma, and poorly managed stress? Understanding this is essential to seeking true healing. In addition, the science of epigenetics shows that stress can even influence the activation of disease-related genes. Genetics is not a fixed destiny. It's a field that can be shaped by environment, emotions, and habits. This means that even if you're genetically predisposed to certain illnesses, how you handle stress can make all the difference in whether or not those illnesses develop. During times of intense emotional stress, such as grief, divorce, bankruptcy, or loss, the number of heart disease cases increases significantly. Broken heart syndrome, scientifically known as Takotsubo cardiomyopathy, is real. It proves how an emotional wound can literally break the heart. The body and mind are so connected that deep emotional pain can become a serious physical disease. But here's the good news. Just as mental stress can make you sick, a state of peace and inner balance can bring healing. When you take care of your mind, your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs, your body responds in positive ways. Cortisol decreases, blood pressure stabilizes, sleep improves, and the immune system grows stronger. And this isn't magic. It's the result of real physiological processes. Practices like meditation, prayer, physical exercise, therapy, and rest are essential to reverse the negative effects of stress. Throughout his life, Jesus often sought moments of silence and prayer to renew his strength. Even being the Son of God, he understood the importance of caring for the mind to strengthen the body and spirit. Today, in our fast-paced and chaotic world, we rarely give ourselves that space for silence and inner connection. As a result, the body ends up screaming for help through illness and pain. So here's the final and most important call to action. When was the last time you truly slowed down? When was the last time you looked inward and cared for your mind the way you care for your body? Because if the mind becomes ill, the body follows. But if the mind heals, the body walks the same path. If this message touched you in any way, share it with someone who lives under constant pressure and may not even realize they are getting sick inside. Remember, ignoring stress doesn't make it go away. It only delays the collapse. Your health begins in your mind and it's crying out for help. Don't wait for the illness to speak louder before you seek healing. Wishing you success always. Gratitude.